It is up to you and your free will to decide, do I accept this as a gift that it is from myself or my higher self or the universe? Or do I reject it and I continue to be in separation of my power? So welcome back to part 5 of The Universe is Always Working in Your Favor. We're going to basically sum up everything that we've been talking about from parts 1 through 4 into a larger message of what this actually means. So people always say that you are the creator of your reality. And you're thinking, okay, but I'm not trying to think my way into the things that I'm manifesting. And it's not about that. It's not that you are thinking your way into creating the things that you're creating. Think of it like a video game, okay? Think of yourself like the video game architect, the video game creator, okay? So you set up this video game, your higher self, the universe set up this video game, this journey, this path for you to walk under certain kinds of programs, right? Certain kinds of skills, natural skills, certain kinds of challenges, all of that. You set up this large program, this large architecture of game. That is your higher self. That is the universe. That is you being the creator. Now you, meaning the human you, meaning the you that has thoughts, the you that has fears, the you that has insecurities, the you that has inherited energetic patterns is what I call it, distortions that keep you separate from remembering that you created this whole thing yourself. That's your small self. That is your ego self. That is your lower self or your human self. Yes, in your human self, from the human perspective, you did not set this up. You did not create this. But from your higher self, from the higher perspective, you did. So why is this important? It's really important because understanding that one concept changes everything, if you allow it to. Because everything is also relative. So if you allow yourself to accept and live by this truth and have faith in this truth, it can change your reality. It can change your life. But if you reject it, if you create separation between you and your higher self as the creator, then you are always in some way going to be the victim of the video game you created, by the way, instead of the person who goes on the journey and thrives in it. Does this make sense? Let me know if this makes sense. Comment below if this makes sense. And this is why all of the challenges, all of the roadblocks, everything that you think is negative that is happening to you is an opportunity for growth, is a sign from the universe, is a lesson that needs to be learned, is you communicating with you, your higher self communicating with your lower self to try to get you to understand whether it's a lesson or it's a sign or it's a message. And it is up to you as the lower self, as the player in the greater game that you created for yourself to live through. It is up to you and your free will to decide, do I accept this as a gift that it is from myself or my higher self or the universe? Or do I reject it and I continue to be in separation of my power, of my ultimate creatorship power? Okay. So when you can actually look at everything as happening for you, even if you don't understand why or how, this is when you can move yourself away from victim, okay, which is like this end of the spectrum, into powerful creator, which is on this end of the spectrum. The level in which you can manifest and manifest from wholeness, manifest from purpose, manifest from self-actualization, which is the whole reason why you are here, by the way, is feeling that brilliance within your human self, within this human experience. That is why you're here. You might not realize that's why you're here. You think you're here, right? To manifest the car, to manifest the house. Trust me, like we all know, right? We all think that. But why you're actually here and what you're actually craving in getting those things, which is fine. It's fine to have things, okay? But what you're actually craving is that hit. Like you buy something that you really like and you're like, oh, and even before you get it, there's like this moment where you just feel this high, this like adrenaline rush of, oh my God, how exciting is this thing? This is going to be so amazing. That's what you're actually looking to experience 24/7. Maybe not 24/7, but that's what you're really looking to embody. But you think it's just the thing. So you get the thing arrives, you're happy with it for a little while, and then it fades, and then it gets a little dull, and then it's like everything that you thought it was going to give you doesn't actually give you that, and then you're on to the next thing. That's you getting trapped in externalizing your value, your experience of reality, all of that outside of yourself. Again, we're human. We're supposed to experience these things. But here's the proper way. You remember your brilliance just by being you, just by being in your own presence, just by connecting with the fact that you are the creator at a higher level. And the higher in frequency you go, by the way, the higher in frequency you embody, by the way, the more that you actually have access to this state of being, where you can actually just feel euphoric just by sitting, just by being. This is also a state where you do less and you create more. Everything that you do has more potency. It has more resonance. It creates a bigger effect. Okay. So anyway, as you go to these higher spaces and you embody these higher spaces in your physical form, then you have the things, but they don't pull you off. They're nice and you can appreciate them, and you can actually appreciate them more in a sense because you appreciate them properly, because you're not externalizing them to give you what you're really looking for. You just look at them for what they are, right? Oh yeah, that's a nice piece of jewelry. Cool. That's a nice piece of jewelry. It's pretty. And at this point, when you're at this level of embodiment of your higher self, of your brilliance, physical things can actually be really not necessarily fulfilling, but they can actually feel better because, again, you're not putting your value in the thing. You're just able to see it and actually just purely enjoy it. But how many times do we try to get the thing to replace our sense of value, right? And this is the human condition. And this is why, by the way, our higher selves have it set up that the higher you go on this path, the more you awaken, the more you release your distortion, the more you release what is not you, your fears, your insecurities, your generational patterns, your past life trauma, all of these things, all the things that weigh us down, that create separation, that make us live out of worry, fear, hustle, overdoing, overgiving, all of this stuff. The more that we actually release, the more we come into our brilliance, the more we then become a magnet to things outside of us, actually, and things within us, but really things outside of us too, right? Both, because your external reality is simply a projection of your internal state of being. So if you are embodying the true abundance that is right there within you in a point in space and time, by the way, getting a little technical here, and you come into that space of pure brilliance and presence within yourself, you are embodying the abundance that is limitless within you. And when you can actually do that, this is when abundance starts being reflected in your experience of life itself, right? And this is why our higher selves go, okay, what can we do? What carrot can we give them on a stick, right? To make them go through this journey of remembering their brilliance. So this whole thing, how my event, the plans got thwarted, double booked venue. And then the next day there's another venue that where we couldn't literally open the door and someone got lost and all this stuff. And I almost I almost sprained my ankle. All of these things were happening that seemed like it was happening against me. It seemed like it was happening to me. But if I took a step back and I looked at it as an opportunity to grow, learn a lesson, come more into presence, release whatever energy patterns were coming up, then it all of a sudden became a portal for evolution, for growth, for ascension, for higher awakening, for leadership, for power, for strength. But If I was stuck in my lower self of victimhood, separated from the creatorship, then what would have happened? Oh my God, everything's going wrong. I'm so sorry, guys, that this is so shit. And oh, I'm so sorry that this is happening. And all of a sudden I shrink back into my lower self and I create even more separation. Okay. And this is where people get it wrong. They don't understand challenges are there. By the way, you're going to get the challenge. You're going to get the challenge at the level that you're ready for the challenge, by the way. Okay. So I want you to know you can actually handle any quote challenge that actually comes your way. You can. Whether you remember that you can and you rise to the occasion or you don't, that's where the free will comes in. And most people do not rise to the occasion. Most people go, oh, that's a challenge. Okay, let me turn back and go back in my lower self. And they create even more separation and more separation. This is where people's lives, they get more separated. It leads to a lot of disconnection, a lot of depression, a lot of other issues, and so on and so forth. Okay, because they don't understand that the universe or themselves, their higher selves, is always trying to communicate with them to give them exactly what they need in order to accelerate, ascend, awaken, go higher. Instead, they choose the other road, which is the lower self. Back into comfort, back into safety, back into smallness. Okay? And if you understand this concept, like you truly embody and understand this concept, your reality is going to change. It can't, but every time you choose the victim, every time you choose the lower self of it is happening to me, every single time you do that, you are confirming to yourself that you are not the creator. So in a way, leadership is very synonymous with awakening. True awakening. Not like I'm just going to pray and meditate on crystals. And those are fun too. I love crystals, love meditating, all that stuff. But there's a real path actually to follow in order to truly self-actualize, in order to awaken, not just say you're awakening, not just say you're a light worker, not just say you're healing and all that stuff, but actually truly awaken into your power. Because actually awakening is awakening into your power. And some people might go, ooh, that feels egotistical. No, your power is not a lower self egotistical concept the way that society has created it to be. Your power is just your remembrance of your brilliance. It's just a remembrance of your limitlessness. It's a remembrance of your creatorship, which is your power. It's a beautiful thing. Power in its purest form does not distort. Egoic, tyrannical power driven by fear and control and low self-worth, that's something else, okay? That's not true power. That's not true brilliance. But awakening, the true path of awakening is awakening to your power, is awakening to your authenticity, to your boldness of self, of being able to be seen in the boldness of who you truly are. And as we are, by the way, ascending into, awakening into what some people are calling the New Earth, 5D consciousness, all of that, it's the people who are willing to be so unapologetically, boldly, and creatively and independently themselves who are going to thrive, because they are going to stand out, especially as AI comes through and then work isn't as important, or your credentials aren't as important, or your skill sets aren't as important. Your frequency is going to be queen, king, whatever you want to call it. Being purely and powerfully you is going to be the highest level, the highest form of success in the new earth, right? In where we are going, ultimately going. Because your frequency is really going to be the thing that, quote, stands out. Not so much even what you say, even how you say it, what you do, exactly how you do it. It's going to be the frequency behind the things that you do. Because that is truly unique to you, right? In a world that is seemingly going to be more homogenized, if that makes sense. So the universe is always working in your favor. But do you have the courage to see it, to own it, to claim it, to walk the path? And if you want to open up the energetic portal to start walking the path, you can join the quantum method below. I'll leave that in the description. But I want you to remember that you are the video game creator. That is your higher self. That is the universe. And you yourself, you are the player in that video game. How can you balance those two concepts at once in your reality? And then, as much as you can, start to merge those identities so that you can actually live life more from your higher self versus your lower self. All right. If you like this video, make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to share this with someone who might benefit from this knowledge, who might benefit from this work. Hit that subscribe button, all the things. You already know the drill, right? If you want to see more videos, also comment below and let me know. And until next time, I will see you all later.